Hey everybody, it's MVP here. I hope you are very, very well. I hope you're getting ready to enjoy the holidays that we're enjoying in the Western world as we head into the Christmas period. As the markets slow down now, I'm not saying that volatility will disappear, but clearly as we go into that last trading week of the year, things do tend to settle down. People go on holiday. Things don't tend to happen too much now, and we're not really going to get much activity now until we get firmly into 2012, into the middle of January. So I just wanted to do just talk to everybody again, communicate, say I'm still here, and just perhaps give you an update on what's happened this year, some of the good things and the bad things that have happened, and what I've been up to specifically. First and foremost, for people that don't know me, my call sign or my kind of identity in the trading forums is NVP. And if you look here, about third one down here, you'll see I'm on Trade to Win, which is one of the biggest trading forums in the world. Generic trading, this is across all types of indices and markets. It's not just Forex, and I'm part of that crew. Here I am, MVP. I go, or I seem to have got the dubious pleasure of having a best thread now. Correlation trading, basic ideas and strategies is who I am. And the 5 stars there, which is very nice. Thanks everybody for that. Your kind input into helping me with that. We're running at about 8,500 now, so it's a big thread. I apologise for that, but perhaps it's worth having a run through it. It's been going now for I think it's two or more years, something, and we're up in the 270s, 280,000 views, which is not big compared to some sites, some global sites, but given the background and stuff, it doesn't do too bad. And it seems as if here I'm pretty much the highest in that area now. I know I've got some Sniper Forex system is there, and the Three Ducks, the great Three Ducks there. System, which I respect a lot, actually is up there as well. 248,000. Captain Currency is also underneath with another version. I think they split the systems actually. So yeah, that's actually who I am in terms of that. And before you run for cover, I also operate a couple of sites now, a couple of very, very simple training sites. This is FXCorrelator.com. And from there is a VIP site. The VIP membership, I'm afraid, which is a payable subscription membership, not available at the moment. And we've got that on freeze at the moment. We've got quite a few people in there, and we just don't really want to take on any more at this moment. We'll let you know if you contact me as and when that's going to happen. But we tend to train people there, work with people. It's not... in terms of this site here, this is the free site. Please go there, and as you can see, you come up here. There's quite a few things bouncing around there that give you some ideas. There's the free FX correlator, the actual indicator that's free, also on the Trade to Win site. Some of my other thoughts: what's market correlation? What do I do? A few testimonials there. Testimonials. I didn't realise that was still running. Actually, let's have a look. See if I've. How does that work? Oh yeah, and you can click on there, and a lot of stuff actually has been extracted from the Trade to Win site, and it just goes through some of the comments and thoughts and some of the kind things that people say about me in terms of what I do. Again, in terms of the VIP site itself, the site where I offer membership, it is frozen at the moment. I'm sorry, we're just pretty tied up. And I will let you know how things are going. But I do tend to put some comments on this site. I apologise in advance to all the people that know me and work with me. I tend to get drawn in so many directions. It gets silly. Also, I've got a full-time job as well, family life and everything. So I do the best I can. I try and help with everyone I can. And people are patient with me, and I appreciate that. So this is where you can get me and talk to me. And yeah, I do talk about what I do, which is I follow market correlation. I'm a very big fan of the way equity markets, especially swing with certain forex and certain currencies. And I use strength meters. I'm a big strength meter fan. Been following it for many years now, more than I care to remember actually. Big fan of strength meters. Operate my own versions of that. And it's as successful as anything else out there. You can pay you can pay thousands and thousands of dollars, even hundreds of thousands. Nothing. There's no holy grail out there. But I tend to operate some fairly robust systems, some of which I do offer to the general public, and there is one I sell here. Others, yes, they're more private, and I don't tend to share them, and we do okay on those. We're in a very small group of traders. So that's pretty much who I am and where I am as at this moment. Enough of that. Let's just have a quick run through. I just want to actually run through what's happened this year as we head towards the end of the year. One of the great things about what I use, the systems I use strength meters. This is a strength meter here across on the right. And strength meters, for me, are really, really, it's a really strong tool. It gives me a lot of each one of these lines, and as you're well aware of what I do, probably each one of these lines represents a currency. Simple currency strength. I've got this on a high setting. I've got this on a 900 moving average setting, so it gives me a real idea of where prices are moving. Each one of these colours is represented up here by a currency, the big G8 currencies, as I call them, the big major drivers in the world, or what I think they are the major driving currencies in the world. And each one of them, just shows how they've moved in the year. This is the start of the year back in late December 2010, all the way through to now as we're ticking along through with 1 week left, really, in terms of this trading year. Just wanted to quickly talk you through what's happened. And some of the things sometimes we do lose sight of. People talk about, the euro's up or the dollar's down. And you have to put everything in context. That's why I use relative strength meters. It gives me an idea of the market. I can step back and watch the market, watch the energy, watch the movements, and just watch what the dynamics are. Over on the left here as well, as people know me, they know I'm a big fan of correlation. I do tend to follow global equity markets, particularly the US 30, the mighty Dow, as I call it, the one that, if people want to know what I'm talking about, it's the one that's around 12,000 at the moment. That's the one I tend to follow. Most things do revolve around what the US markets are doing. I've got to say that. I know every country is important, but boy oh boy, does the US dominate and tell the market what it's doing. When the US sneezes, everybody catches a cold, as it were. So this is the Dow, and again, this is for the year. That's half year, that line coming down the middle there. So I just wanted to do some comparisons and a quick chat as to what moved in the market and what didn't this year, and just some comparatives, actually, what was happening in global equity markets. Okay, I'm going to run from top to the bottom here on these currencies. The reason some are higher than others, don't pay too much attention to that. Just pay attention to where these currencies start on this side, okay, and where they end. So if I draw a line here, for example, this is grey. This is the Swiss franc. See that? I'm going to put it right there on the start. So if we come across to the end now, look at that. It's virtually flat. Just give you an example. We're going to look at where it's ended. So it's like anything in life. It's not where you start, it's where you finish that counts, okay? So we're going to run through each of these, and I'm just going to give you a little background there and say where my thoughts and ideas were. So let's start with the Swissy, okay? We're going to start with the Swissy and quickly run through what the Swissy did this year. Okay, the Swissy is an interesting one. Now, the Swissy generally tends to run, and is very correlated generally to the yen, which is the yellow here, and the US dollar, okay? I'm not going to go into details why, but it does. That's one of my. It's what they call a risk play currency. And this year has been very interesting. Everybody knows the Swissy, the intervention by the Swiss National Bank. They're very, very interventional, and they played a big part in the second half of this year in really depressing the Swiss currency, and they pegged it to the euro. And let me just tell you where I thought things were happening this year. It was an interesting year. Now, generally, what you expect to find is that the yen, the Swissy tends to operate in the opposite correlation, the opposite moves to the way the US Dow does. And this year, first half, you can see the first half US Dow was very strong, came in about 11.6 over here. By the time we got to mid-year, it really was batting very. It was up in the 12.5s. It already delivered 1,000 points of trade, although there'd been some real frights as we got towards the end of the first half of the year. And what I would expected to see at that point, what I would expected to see the Swissy actually depressing. Here it came in here. I would have expected to see it down here. But it wasn't. It was very strong. People liked the Swissy. It didn't care what was happening. And when I saw that situation, the Swissy was becoming almost an unbeatable currency. It was stronger than pretty much anything else that you were seeing in the G8. And if you look down here, you'll see that not much else was actually rising. The euro was, but we'll go into that later. So the Swissy became almost an indestructible currency. So much so that when we got to the middle of the year, I really was calling it the buy for the second half of the year. Idiot me. I should have made predictions. Predictions are really for more like fortune tellers and anyone else. I shouldn't do it. All you should do is just trade what you see and not predict. But I made a prediction, and I predicted that, number one, I thought that generally, especially if the equity market came off in the second half, which I was thinking it was going to do, that was going to just send the Swissy absolutely ballistic. It was going to outrun its first half performance incredibly well, and that's what I was predicting. Well, in terms of what happened, actually, second half, yes, I was relatively right, actually. I knew that we were looking for some kind of Dow hit, and it took it. In July, the markets really took some serious hits. As you can see here, big drops, nearly 1,000 points or something came off, 1,000 points came off. It has rallied since, but this second half of the year, what should have happened then at that point was any currency that was, risk related, in terms of if the risk in the market escalated, people would run to certain currencies like the yen, the dollar, and traditionally the Swissy. And guess what happened? Yes, the Swissy started going up, but boy, oh boy, the Swiss National Bank, and if you remember back in those dark days, I think it was July, August time, the Swiss National Bank just came in and sold. They went out there and they destroyed their currency. I think it came off 7% in one particular day against all other markets, or against the dollar especially. And boy, oh boy, what a pain. And the rest of it really has been very, very, very sad, actually. So this period here, when we should have expected the currency to be rising, which actually happened with the yen and the dollar, as you can see, it didn't. It actually fell. The Swiss bank, major interventions, they absolutely refused to have their currency so high in value. It was destroying their economics and their dynamics there, so they sold. From then on in, really the last 3 or 4 months in, as you can see, actually the Dow started to rally a little bit more and come upwards, and that makes things very comfortable for the Swissy. What they've been able to do is, as you can see here, this return of the Dow towards strength has actually helped suppress the currency. So they've done fine. So basically, in terms of my prediction for the year, absolutely wrong. I've got 0 out of 10 for that. I thought this was going to be the big buy second half. It should have been, but as with everything in forex markets, it can be so unpredictable at times. And when you also realise that there's 2 major interventional currencies, or major interventional countries in the world, one is the Swiss National Bank, the other one is the Bank of Japan, that can strongly intervene when it decides to on the yen. These are 2 currencies you really are gambling with sometimes, especially if you think they're going to rise, because actually you may then be up against the bank that decides it's not going to rise, and then it's who's got the most money to throw at the wall of trading, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So that was my the prediction, or what outturned for the Swissy this year. And as you can see, actually at the end of the year, it was a good first half, relatively good first half. So if you've been buying into it, the first half you'd have done okay. Second half got better, and then absolute disaster. Second half it has been a major fall, and it's brought us back pretty much to square one. So that was the Swissy. Okay, we're actually running out of time here, so I'm going to go to I'm going to switch this to a part 2. We're going to go on to part 2 in a minute. So if you just want to bear with me and load up the second video here, we can talk about some of the other currencies and any other thoughts I've got for next year.